Peace. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of the Pop Playland. As always, I'm your Pop Player, and I'm coming at you with a New York Jets mock draft video. I'm going to be using the PFN or Pro Football Network mock draft simulator once I get my screen shared. But um, I'm doing this too because a lot of mock drafts are a little bit different than what I would do. And I've always wanted to do a legit mock draft. So now that I learned how to share the screen, I mean, it's giving me a hard time now, naturally. But once I learn how to share the screen, I'll commence with the business at hand. So now I got it, I think. So if you guys hopefully could see this, um, the Jets have picks, I think 5 picks in the top 70, but some of those picks, I mean, have to be dedicated early on to not only just positions of need, but premier positions. And in this draft, I mean, linemen aren't as good as last year's draft, or the linemen that are available aren't as good as last year's draft. And the Jets do need help at line. Um, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna sign somebody in free agency, at least one person. That way, they don't have a bunch of young people on the line. But I don't think that their right guard that they had last year is gonna remain on the team, even though they traded for him. If he does remain on the team, he's gonna be in a backup role. But I'm gonna do this draft with no trades. So at this selection, I mean, if I had the ability to trade, I would have definitely traded. I don't have the ability to close this little window, but all right, there we go. But my choices here, the only temptations I have are Evan Neal and George Karlaftis. Now, if one of these two edge rushers were there at that pick, if Aiden Hutchinson drops down, I mean, I'm gonna piss myself, and I draft him. If you could have Aiden Hutchinson by moving up one pick with the Texans by giving up like a second round pick, let's say, I would do that too if you could grab Aiden Hutchinson. But Aiden Hutchinson isn't here at this pick. So the best edge rusher left on the board is George Karlaftis. I think George Karlaftis, along with Aiden Hutchinson, is a premier talent. Kayvon Thibodeau, more of a risk. Um, I would take Kayvon Thibodeau too if he were there though. But Karlaftis is nasty, and I don't want to wait till the 10th pick to try to get him. So I'll take George Karlaftis here. Call it a day. Kyle Hamilton, I wouldn't draft him in the top 10. Olave's off the board. Garrett Wilson's off the board. So, I mean, at this stage, I have a little conundrum at hand. I mean, I could take Linderbaum because I like him a lot. Derek Stingley Jr., man, he got to really, really, really show out in the combine, like for me to consider him in the top 10, because I like Ahmad Gardner a lot more, just on the health factor. But Ahmad Gardner has a hell of a frame to work with. I like him a lot. Jamison Williams is an option here too, but what we saw in this last game, um, those skinny like knees, like legs, I don't know if they'd be able to take a beating long term. Um, didn't seem like it was a overly serious injury, but wishing the best. But right now, I mean, Linderbaum is the best center bar none. I don't know why a lot of people are planning to have McGovern on this team, like as if that's like locked in set. I mean, you could cut either McGovern or Noah Font and save like $9 million in cap room. I would cut both of them, to be frank. But if you like McGovern, I would tell McGovern, listen, like either one of you guys, either Linderbaum or McGovern, move to guard. Um, it'll probably be Linderbaum, but that's not a guarantee. Like, I mean, if Linderbaum plays better than McGovern in camp, I put Linderbaum at center and move McGovern to right guard. If not, I would cut um, McGovern and Font, and then just try to replace. that veteran presence, which Font doesn't really provide. McGovern kind of does, but I would just try to replace um, McGovern with another veteran presence at guard or something. But I'd take Linderbaum, no problem. I think Linderbaum is a premier talent, not at the level of Nelson, like some people are saying, um, Nelson of the Colts, but he is really good. And you have your center for years to come. And then and now all of a sudden you have a left tackle or right tackle, depending on how he comes back from injury in Mackay, and then you have a left guard in Vera Tucker. You got your center in McGovern. So your line right there is set for decades. And then you just fill in the holes at the right tackle and right guard. So at this pick, I mean, we have Kingsley and Egbare. I think he's a little bit overrated, to be honest. Majai Sanders is also there, and I think he's a first round talent. But I already got the edge covered, and in this draft, I wouldn't shy away from taking two edges off the rip, even if you have Lawson coming back off of injury. So David Bell is, I mean, Drake Jackson is a temptation as well as Majai Sanders, but I'd be cool with the two edge rushers that we have right now, and maybe try to dip into the edge rusher pool later on in the draft because there are a lot of good people here. But David Bell is my pick here because David Bell, both New York teams would need a receiver like David Bell. Very smooth in his routes. I like what he could do in the middle of the field. He's just a really good. It just kind of like reminds me of a sort of like Cruz, Allen Robinson. Like I don't know how to, but he's the goods. I think. I don't know how to explain it. I don't even like doing comparisons with pro players, but nevertheless, I think Bell is the goods. So I take Bell at this point. Now with this pick, this one's a little bit tougher because I already got my wide receiver covered. This draft, one thing people aren't talking about is the tight end pool. The tight end pool is pretty good in this draft, better than most drafts, better than a lot of the recent drafts that I remember. So let me get to the top of this menu. We have Isaiah Likely, who I think might be the best tight end talent in this draft as a receiver. I haven't watched enough tape of him as a blocker, but I haven't watched a lot of tape of him at all. Trey McBride is moving up in my mind a lot, but at this stage, from what I did see from Isaiah Likely, and I saw a little bit more tape of Trey McBride, I'm taking Likely here. That may change, but and McBride's draft position went from being in the third round to some people now saying that he's an early second rounder, maybe a first rounder. And I'm not crapping on that notion one bit because Trey McBride is really good. But I like from what I see from Likely at first, he's really explosive. I mean, he did play in a crappy conference and he had a powerhouse team that nobody talked about in Coastal, but I I will watch more tape of him, but right now I do have him a little bit more talented than I do like more from what I see from him than from McBride. But honestly, I've only watched like a couple of games of his because YouTube doesn't have a lot of his game tape for none of these guys on Coastal, including Gunther, Jeffrey Gunther, like the edge rusher from Gunther, that has like zero tape online except him hitting Zach Wilson with that cheap shot last year. But see at this pick, this is kind of a big time temptation for me too because you have Jake Ferguson still there. Jake Ferguson is the goods. I'm on the tight end menu still, but I would definitely double dip with the tight end position. No problem. But let me go down the list a little bit. These defensive tackles in this draft, I mean, I kind of like none of them, or like I'm not in love with any of them like that. I mean, here at scrolling down this list, the first name that pops out at me is Justin Ross. I love Justin Ross, big receiver and played against really good competition on a Clemson team that sucked this year, like by their recent standards. Jake Ferguson is also a big time temptation here at tight end. Chad Muma, oof, he's underrated. Chad Muma is nasty. I love Muma, and we do need help at linebacker. I mean, I may go there or with Justin Ross. There's also Wandale Robinson. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly, and he's really good too. But the thing is that he reminds me a lot of the receiver that we already drafted, so I could set him aside. So in my head right now is between Justin Ross and Chad Muma, and I'm gonna go Chad here because we already have a big receiver on the roster, and Chad Muma might go in the second round in this draft, and I think he's the goods. And I like the fact that these kids from like Nebraska, Ohio State, like that are already used to playing in like crappy weather. I like investing in cats like that because not only are you coming on to a crappy team, but you're also going to be playing in Jet Life Stadium, which has a big time wind gust, crappy weather, and you're going to be down in most games. So, you know, get used to it. But good talent left on the board. I don't know a lot of these guys in the later portions of the round. I'm not gonna front on you. I have my eye on somebody if he lasts, and he did last, and I'm gonna scoop him up, and that's Rasheed Walker. I don't know why people aren't talking about Rasheed Walker more. Rasheed Walker, in this draft, I don't like. I think Rasheed Walker is gonna go in the first round, but he's one of those players that could drop. I don't know why, but he's here in this draft, and I'm taking him. I don't care if I sign two tackles. I would still take Rasheed Walker because Rasheed Walker has a lot of tape against really good competition, and he looks fantastic. Um, Cameron Thomas, the edge rusher of San Diego State, is off the board. I probably would have taken him, but let me see what else is on the board. See, Bernard Raymond is still there. He's a really good tackle too. Trey Barry is a decent tight end. Um, Sam Laporta is also a pretty good tight end. I'm gonna go down the list. See, Jeffrey Gunter is still there, the edge rusher from Coastal Carolina. See, now we're getting into the range of the players that I don't know. I'm gonna see if which receivers are still here. See if I can get Zach Wilson, another target. Receiver board is kind of at this stage. Let me see what running backs are there. Ooh, see, like now this I like. See, because I like Zonovan Knight and Zonovan Knight of North Carolina State played behind or in tandem with other good running backs, so he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear on him. I mean, I could go guard here. I do like Marcus Hayes. Let me see what's left on defense. Defensive tackle Zachary Carter. These other guys I'm not really familiar with, and the Jets kind of do need a little bit of help at the tackle position, at the defensive tackle position. But there's also Nolan Smith here of Georgia. I'd probably take him because he's a little bit of a wrecking ball, and he had a fantastic game this last weekend. Cornerback, I like Jalen Amar Davis, and I also like Tariq Castro Fields, and I like Josh Joby. I don't think none of these guys are going to be here this late in the game. Oh, actually, no, I do think that these guys could be here this late in the game, but this 149th, 154th, and 164th best prospect, they're not that. Even Sean Jolly is a way better prospect than 179. But having said all that, the pick right now for me would be between running back Zonovan Knight or edge rusher Nolan Smith. That's a really tough one, but I'm gonna take Nolan Smith on this one. We could probably address running back later on. It's not imminent for us to have a running back, but remember there was a game this year where we had to activate that kid that we drafted from Florida State. I mean, from Florida. Zonovan Knight is now off the board. He went to the Cowboys. But this past year we did have a game where we had to play homeboy that we drafted from Florida, whose name I can't recall right now, and he was a healthy scratch pretty much the whole year. The fact that we had to employ him in the during the year kind of tells you where our team is as far as running back goes. I do like Michael Carter a lot, but we won't hurt ourselves by having somebody to back him up. Now, Rashard White, eh, he's okay. I mean, I wouldn't sneeze at taking him this late in the draft, especially. Charleston Rambo, I actually like him. The Ontario Drummond, I like him too. Um, we've already addressed the receiver position, and maybe we could bag another one if we see good value. But at that pick, it's not the greatest value. So right now it's between Charleston Rambo and Rashard White for me. And sorry, but trying to close this window. See, oh yeah, let me hide this. But at this pick, I'll probably take Charleston or Ontario. I'd rather take Ontario Drummond here. But a lot of receivers are going off the board pretty quickly. We got a really good receiver with our man from Purdue, and I mean we could go dumpster diving with the later picks, but I'm cool with what we have here. If Tariq Castro Fields lasts this late, of course I'm going to take him. It's very tempting between him and Josh Joby, but again, I like the Tariq Castro Fields a little better. Played her in a tougher division this year or in a tougher conference this year. Plus, he has the cold weather factor, which I always like. Josh Joby, I think he had an injury later this year, but no sweat off my back. I'm cool with my Tariq Castro Fields. It's a nice all around corner. A lot of people who are banging the table about getting a corner early in this draft. I mean, the corners that we have on the roster right now, all these young guys, all did a lot better than I expected. And so to me, it's not like a big time need. I wouldn't mind signing a corner just to have a veteran presence in the room, but I would draft a cornerback late in this draft. And I'm only saying that because Joe Douglas kind of blessed us this last draft with the picks that he had at cornerback and the draft before. Um, so I'm cool with just shoring up the rookie presence that we do have. Maybe sign a veteran in there, and that way these guys don't get into crazy fights with each other or nothing like that, and have a veteran shake up the room. But I'm cool with the cornerback position. It's not a big area of need. Never in this year. This year, there was no time where we were bitching after the fact that we got burned by whatever receiver because of our cornerback room. This is like kind of like the best place our cornerback room has been in quite a while. I think the linebacker position is something that we should address more. Honestly, I feel bad for not taking more linebackers in this draft, but I'm cool with what we did get. So we got George Karlaftis, the edge rusher out of Purdue, with the first pick. Tyler Lindenbaum with the second pick. David Bell, the receiver out of Purdue, um, with the with our 35th and third pick. Isaiah Likely with our 38th pick, with the 38th overall pick. Chad Muma with the 69th overall pick. I reached a little bit there, but I think he's dynamic. Rasheed Walker is a steal at this pick, as is Nolan Ryan. I mean, Nolan Smith. Nolan Ryan. As is Nolan Smith, the edge rusher out of Georgia. He could be a rotation guy. He could also play a little bit of a outside linebacker in the classic. I mean, in the sense of having the athleticism to cover somebody down the field. So I'm cool with him there. The Ontario Drummond, I mean, it's a crapshoot. As is Tariq Castro Fields in a sense, but so I'm not like really killing myself. In most drafts, I mean, honestly, I like to have in a successful draft or a good draft. Honestly, you bag two starters off of it. I mean, Karlaftis is going to start on this team regardless whether Lawson comes back next year healthy or not. Linderbaum is going to definitely start on this team. David Bell starts on this team. Our wide receiver room is a underrated area of need for us, and we're going to have a lot of defections. I mean, I think we should re-sign Barrios, but even with re-signing Barrios, our receiving room this year sucked. Isaiah Likely, I'm happy with that. Maybe I take two tight ends. Chad Muma, I think all these people who I just mentioned. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 would be frontline starters for us. Rasheed Walker, at the worst case scenario, he's a rotational tackle. Best case scenario, he starts for us. I mean, it's not really a best case scenario because if he starts for us, he's probably replacing somebody via injury. But I mean, in most of these mock drafts, I always take a tackle and I try to aim for a Linderbaum. Since I didn't trade, Rasheed Walker mess around and he could probably start at right tackle for us this year. Nolan Smith, like I said, he could be a starting linebacker. Um, Although I like him better as just a edge rush rotation option, and he's really good. Um, doesn't have the best of bends, but if you have two Nolan Smiths or Nolan Smith in addition to another good edge rusher on your roster, Nolan Smith could do a lot of damage. But let me know what you guys think. This is my first time with me sharing the screen, but with that, I'm out. I'm gonna listen to this video now, and hopefully, it doesn't look crusty. But let me know what you guys think. With that, I'm out. Peace.